Hey, you wild women. We've got a really cool wild take coming at you today, all about negative thoughts. And if you don't know me, I will say I feel like I wrote the encyclopedia about rumination and negative thinking because it has aged me. As a mother, as a woman, I feel like this is probably very common. But for some reason, it is something that stays within us. I don't know if it's in our DNA, if it's because of oppression, whatever. I'm not coming up with excuses. But today we're going to talk about how to actually turn those negative thoughts that suck your energy and make you angry and give you the worst day ever into something you can use to actually have a great moment or a great day. Are you with me? Love to know. Before we kick things off, I want to know, are you following me on Instagram? That's where I hang out the most. I love engaging with you. You can check me out at Renee_Warren. I talk about all things confidence and mindset and parenting and marriage. Really, what I am trying to achieve and the impact I'm trying to create is to help women like you, female entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs, actually thrive in life, redefining success. Success isn't defined for you. That is up to you to define. So go check me out on Instagram, Renee_Warren. Now we're going to talk about how to take those negative moments in our life, the negative thoughts and feelings and energy, and we're going to shift it into fuel for success. If you're with me, then let's get started. Welcome to another Wild Take. Oh my gosh, think about all those moments in life when something went wrong. Something went horribly wrong. You blame yourself or you blame somebody else and you overreact and you ruminate and you actually let this negative thing or energy or person or instance grab a hold of you and hold on really tight that it coasts with you throughout your life. Listen, I'm one of those people too. I take a sip of water. Back in 2012, I launched a really awesome agency with a co-founder of mine. We crushed it. We were very profitable. We were going to $1 million, which, given the circumstances, I had 2 babies in the first year of launching that business. We were in the small town on the east coast of Canada. Given all circumstances and all these odds stacked against us, we were doing really well. And so well, it actually took me by surprise that one day she shows up and resigns. Not anything malicious, did nothing wrong. She resigned and she gave me less than 2 weeks' notice. Of course, I thought I did something wrong. Of course, I blamed it on me. Of course, I blamed it on her. And I got really angry. Now, instead of asking why, instead of really figuring out the situation that was in the best circumstance for my team and my clients, I got angry with her and I was very negative. And I said probably some not so great things about her. Actually, I know I did. And I regret those things that I said because in the time I was not equipped with the tools that I have today. Back then, I was still raising very young kids. I was with a man who was traveling a lot for his business. I was in a city that was new to me. I didn't know anybody. I had postpartum depression. I didn't have the help that we have today. We had a cleaning lady every other week, let alone a full house manager like we do now. And I let that moment, that instance, sink so deep into my soul that it stopped me from doing the things that I'm great at. And that was not her intent. And I know that. I don't think she wanted to see me suffer. I did it to myself. I let myself sink so deep in these thoughts, in these doubts, and thinking I'm an imposter, I'm imperfect, who would ever want to hire me, that it really took the power away. And today, when faced with something similar, let me tell you, I have the fuel, the motivation, the conviction to not only skim past it, but to not even think about it anymore. I don't know if it's my age or whatever, but I do believe it's because of some of the tools that I'm going to share with you today. Here's the thing about negative thought patterns. As a society, we're addicted to it. our brains are wired for negative bias. It is why we're so addicted to the news. It's why we're so addicted to social media. We look at the negative, and it is something in our brain just clicks and think, I like this stuff. It has a physical and a mental toll on our body, as we know. Negative thinking causes disease. Stress, which is from negative thinking, is actually the number one producer of disease. So why do we do it to ourselves? Why do we do it? We're negative. We love it. We're addicted to it. It's kind of like, reality TV has this place in the world. And I used to love it. Now I don't like it. The negative bashing and the talking behind each other's back actually makes me feel super uncomfortable. And the reason why, it wasn't always that case, but the reason why it makes me feel uncomfortable is because I'm so not that person anymore. I'm so not addicted to hearing the rumors. Quite frankly, I turn that off, tune it out, delete it, block it as much as I can because I don't want to be a part of that energy. Your frequency and your energy enters the room before you do. And if you're constantly ruminating and just obsessing with rumors and talking crap about someone behind their back, that is what your life is going to look like. Those people don't belong in my life. They don't belong in the studio. They don't belong in my home. And if I ever catch a good friend talking crap about somebody else, I'm going to tell them. And they can make the decision on to be friends with me or not. They can make the decision to change. And if they don't, they're not my friend. It's quite simple. There is not a single place in the world where you ever need to talk crap about anybody. If they've kidnapped your puppy, if physically done some harm to your car or your house, these are such random examples. The point being that our addiction to negativity is actually stopping us from being happy and achieving success. Think about those moments in life when you're actually so motivated, so inspired, so productive. You're not thinking about the next door neighbor who plays their music too loud on a Saturday night, are you? No, that's not. It's because you go past that. You let the thought into your head and you let it escape. And so today I want to teach you the methods that I've learned over the years on how to just let all that stuff go. Even as women entrepreneurs, the common patterns that I see in the women that I coach, that I've trained, that I'm friends with, that are coming to the Pink Skirt Project on June 12th in Kelowna, BC. There's the imposter syndrome. This probably sounds like you when you're like, I'm not qualified enough to be in that room, Renee. Gosh, the Pink Skirt Project's probably attracting some of the top talent. Heck yeah, it is. And it's ever the more reason for you to be in that room. The other thing, especially that women do, is the comparison trap. Everyone else is already doing it and they're already doing better. Of course, I started this podcast 5 years ago. And at the time, there were a lot of other people starting podcasts. A lot of them had stopped podcasting. But if I looked at it from the perspective of, oh gosh, there's 4 million active podcasts in the world. Who am I to start one? Well, you're listening to this. You're listening to this episode. You're going to get something from it. And if I actually told myself that I'm not the person to start this podcast, then I wouldn't have started it. So you got to drop that thinking. You also have to drop catastrophizing, thinking if this fails, my whole business will collapse. We think worst case scenario, if this thing fails, that thing fails. It doesn't mean your whole business is going to collapse. If you don't get that sale, it might mean you're in the red for a month and you can fix it. When I ran my first agency called Onboardly, we were in the red a couple months. Why? It's because we had finished hiring somebody new, somebody more senior, and we still haven't figured out the dynamics of the finances to understand how to always be profitable. And when we did, we were always profitable. We always had over $100,000 cash in the bank after everything was paid. It was always there because we figured it out. But had we just pulled the plug because 1 month we're in the red and we doubted ourselves, that'd be stupid. The other thing I see women do is the perfectionism. I'm guilty of this too, don't get me wrong. That when you say, I'm not ready for this, or this needs to be flawless. I have a group, I've actually been 3 really cool kind of friend circle groups of masterminds that we've created This one woman who's putting this really great program together has not published her website yet because she's still waiting on feedback from 35,000 people on her website copy. I go, what the heck? Why do we stop ourselves right before the finish line? Why do we do this? It's the negative thinking. It's the not enoughness. It's the catastrophizing. It's the fear of success, which is another thing, which is also hilarious. But think about those moments in your life when you don't start your podcast, you don't launch the business, you don't ask for the sale, or you immediately start discounting yourself. Why? Why do we do this to ourselves? The hidden cost of negative energy is that it prevents you from taking risks that are necessary for growth. The drain of the creative energy and problem-solving capacity happens. You just become a dud. It sabotages relationship building and networking opportunities because you get in your head. You don't have the energy to go out. And simply saying, oh, think positively is not what the tool I'm going to teach you today. And it simply fails. It fails every single time. You can't just think positively. It's called toxic positivity. And the thing about it is that if you just think positive and not think through the situation, not actually let your feelings be validated, it becomes so inauthentic that it's exhausting. It forces you to struggle even more. So you're allowed to have negative thoughts. You're allowed to feel defeated and deflated and hurt and insulted. You're allowed to fail. But if you don't dust yourself off again and take an even bigger leap next time, you're going to be in the same position you are today. There's a lot of friends and colleagues that have had to release in my life. Not let go of, just release, because they have committed to staying in the same level of growth. That it's almost like as soon as they start bumping up against their ceiling of complexity, they stop there. They don't even try to break through it. They just stay there. They stay stuck. And they have the same stupid stories and the same stupid reasons as to why they can't gain more muscle or create bigger profit margins or hire the person that they're wanting to hire. The game of entrepreneurship and being really successful in this world of business is to understand that crap's going to happen and that you got to become the person who can deal with this stuff at a bigger scale the more you grow. So here's the energy shift framework that I put together, the 4 R's of this. When faced with something traumatizing, when faced with something negative in life or in business, here are the ways in which I've been able to get through the crap and come out on the other side a happier, more experienced entrepreneur. Recognition, reframing, redirecting, and reinforcing. So the recognition is number 1. Developing awareness of your negative thought patterns. So when we went to Australia in December, it was so much fun. But let me tell you, the weeks leading up to that trip, because we were gone for a month, pulled the kids out of school, went to Bali as well, I had all of these fears and doubts and stories that I kept coming up in my head. Couldn't sleep at night, was losing sleep, couldn't focus at work. So it was the day before I left. Of course, I wait for the last minute. I opened up my journal and I just started writing down all the things I think could go wrong. Every single doubt, every single issue I think could possibly go wrong. Closed it up, packed my bags, left the next day. When I got back from this trip, I went straight back to my journal. The next morning I started journaling, but I was like, oh wait, what did I write before I left? It was like lists, like pages and pages. And I read it. Not a single thing happened. Not only did not a single thing happen, nothing even moderately close happened to all my fears and doubts, from like losing a passport to a kid getting seriously ill and ending up in a hospital. Like all these things. This is how my brain thinks. But writing it down actually released that negative energy. And then coming back to it, what a lesson. Wow, I can't believe I thought that. I can't believe I let that consume me, take hold of me, stop me from being me. So recognizing that you're thinking negatively is kind of like slap yourself on the wrist. Like seriously, slap yourself. Like, I'm thinking like this again. Stop it. Talk to yourself. Look like a fool. Who cares? Then understand your specific negative thought triggers. Is there something, one or two or three things that keep coming up? You just got to nip them in the bud. What is it? For me, one of them is like an old employee of mine from years ago. For some reason, something about that person triggers me. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure it out. So I finally reflected on it. And it was because I don't want to use the word jealous or envy, but there was something about them that I looked at and I realized I wish I could have achieved that. And they might think the same of me. I don't know. Had nothing to do with them and everything to do with me and the stories that I was building in my head. Also, I felt like I was owed gratitude. Nobody owes you anything. So I felt like they owed me a massive thank you for the position that I created for them and the success they have because of that position. I didn't get a thank you. And when I realized it wasn't coming because it's not mine to have and it's not that I deserve it, when I released that, holy crap. So think of like your energy field as like a gigantic jar. And there's only so much space. So I'm holding up a tiny jar that I drink my water from. I'm going to take a sip. But imagine this was filled with like rocks and pebbles and sand. And half of that is negative stuff. Like say you just wanted a jar full of white rocks and pebbles and sand. Yet there were half of it was black. And you're like, I don't want the black rocks and pebbles and sand in there. But you don't do anything to remove them. They're always going to take up space. You don't want that. So you got to remove the things and the thoughts from your brain to create space for the goodness, to create space for the sand and the rocks and the pebbles that you do want there. So the reframe is just that, transforming your negative energy into positive potential. There is a difference between toxic positivity and genuine reframing. So toxic positivity is really forcing yourself to believe something without going through the motions of doing the work to releasing it. But the reframe is something different. So we'll go back to the co-founder that left, right? So the toxic positivity is, yeah, I deserve 100% of this company and I deserve to 2x my income. Yeah, because I don't need her. I can do this by myself. Screw her. No. The reframe is, wow, my customers stayed. My employees stayed. I have people within the community that have offered to support me in ways they didn't want to support me before because that person was my co-founder. The reframe is I have an opportunity to do better and to create the business that I want to create because now I'm the sole decision maker. There's so much opportunity in everything. So you have to ask yourself a powerful question that might shift your perspective. What is the opportunity cost if you consistently speak negatively to yourself? And then in these moments, you have to ask, what can this teach me instead of why is this happening to me? Tony Robbins says this. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And you can think of the worst case scenarios. Something is happening for you. We're all on a journey of healing. The most important thing that we need to do in our lives is to heal ourselves. Because when we heal ourselves and we do that work, it opens up more space for the rocks and pebbles you want in your jar, right? But can I get a heck yes? If you follow me on Instagram, go to Renee_Warren, DM me, ping me, let me know if there's something about this episode that is just hitting for you. Because like I'm talking and I'm like, this is hitting for me too right now. And I love it. So you have to ask yourself, what's the opportunity cost that actually ruminating and thinking negatively all the time is actually doing for you? It does nothing. People don't actually want to be around naysayers. People don't want to be hanging out with people that talk crap about people behind their backs. They don't. I'm not going to call up Joe and be like, yo, I love how much you speak crap about people. Let's go hang out and have pizza and beer together. No. And if that really excites you, it's because you have so much work to do on yourself that the Joe guy feels good because you have the same negative frequency. Don't be that person. If you're trying to break out of this vicious cycle, then go find a person who is so positive you can't help but feeling good about yourself. So the third thing is the redirect. You want to channel the transformed energy into this productive action. So now you're like, got all this space, got all the pebbles, sand, and rocks that I want in my jar. What are we doing today? You got to channel that. You can use it for like market research. Why did that thing trigger me? So why did this thing with my former business partner trigger me so much that now it's become an example? Thank you. Why did it trigger me so much? Because I doubted myself. I doubted my ability to be able to run a $1 million business. I doubted my ability to lead the team, to appease the clients, because there was a part of that business that she was so good at that I had not even tried. But now when I look back on it, there were things that I learned in those moments I would not have been able to learn otherwise, because I wouldn't have just gone and taken the book out of the library on what to do when your co-founder leaves. That wouldn't appeal to me because I never would have guessed that it could possibly happen. But I learned my lesson. And I do believe that heartbreak, heartache can make for a stronger foundation in life. So I learned to transform that fear into preparation and planning. The big fear that came of it, the story that I kept telling myself was this: I can never trust another business partner again for fear of abandonment. Can you understand how that might be a real fear? Somebody who I loved, a best friend, who is 50-50 in a business, just got up and left. No real reason. Oh, and went to start another business behind my back. That's fine. And the best gift of it was that she did that. The absolute best gift was that it happened to me. So redirecting that into understanding that that was a circumstance in my life. It's not every single person that's going to walk through these doors and become a partner of mine in any way. And in vocalizing this with my incredible partner for the Pink Skirt Project, her name is Anita Parker. Go follow her on Instagram. Incredible soul, like one of the most exquisite human beings ever. I can't possibly imagine her harming a mouse, let alone ditching me for anything. So that just felt good just even releasing that with her. But you want to do something called the energy allocation audit. So this is essentially where you understand where your emotional energy is going versus where it should be. So for the longest time, I just held on to the story about being abandoned by a business partner that I just didn't even like double click on it. I didn't do the work to get through it or to understand why it was happening. So that was consuming my energy. Anything that consumes your energy consumes your time. So if you're constantly investing in the negativity of something, you are not doing anything great. When I realized that, I had to let it go. I released it, just like a release. Like I could feel it in my shoulders, and like that tether that comes from your soul, from your gut, it was released. You can also cut it. There's a cutting technique. But anyway, you release that negative energy, it opens up the space, and things happen so much faster that way. The last thing is to reinforce, to create sustainable, positive energy patterns. One thing I do is just building an evidence bank of all the successes that I have had in my life and playing on that, knowing how much I've achieved. Creating environmental triggers for positive thinking. What is something you do that can force you to think positively about something? Could it be like Post-it notes you have on your wall? Could it be the wallpaper on your laptop? Could it be things you have saved on your phone? It's the first thing you see. How can you always constantly positive reinforce yourself? And then create a success soundtrack. I love this. Put a Spotify list together. When you're in those moments when you're feeling blah, play the list of the music that always builds you up. Music is like, it's the heartbeat of the world. Every religion, every culture, every country, every gender listens to music. And there's something so unique and exquisite about it that I say, go put that list together. Right now, I'm obsessed with Unstoppable by Sia. So the difference between struggling and thriving isn't the absence of negativity. As an entrepreneur, you're going to face this every day, but it's the mastery of that energy conversion, because everything is energy, negative or positive or neutral. And if you are just overfilling your jar with negative energy, you will not have space for the good. And you want to have space for the good. So we face crap every single day. We face little micro failures. We face colossal failures. on a weekly, monthly, annual basis as entrepreneurs. And it's the people that can get through it, get past it, that can laugh at it, are the ones that are just easy, can quickly replace that negative thoughts, those negative energy with positive outcomes. So if you haven't had a chance, check it out. Go to thepinkskirtproject.com. It's a one-day business event that I'm hosting in Kelowna, BC on June 12th. And that room is going to be full of women that only think positive. And if you're there doubting yourself, or if you're even doubting getting your butt in that room, let me tell you, you will feel so good about yourself in there, because any woman who wants to grow their business, launch a business, or get to the next level, and has the mindset knowing that they're going to fail, that it's going to scare them, but they want to do it anyway, you are cordially invited to come and be with us on June 12th. Go to thepinkskirtproject.com to grab your tickets today. Until next time, ladies, peace out.